I seen this dude screaming, crying, saying, "You fuckers did it right now. I don't want to hear nothing from you self-righteous libs, Democrats. We're coming for you." Knowing damn well the person that did it, y'all know what it is. Betty White.
We seriously got to talk about what's poppin' right now, because this whole situation is wild. Some of Charlie Kirk's most loyal fans are out here pointing fingers, blaming black and brown folks for not crying over his death. Like, are they serious? They're acting shocked that people ain't shedding tears for a man who once said black folks were better off before civil rights because of crime rates? That's not just bold, that's insane. The nerve of these people is next level. And here's where it gets even messier. The same crowd that laughed at Breonna Taylor, Tamir Rice, and George Floyd now wants compassion for Charlie Kirk. Please, that's not empathy, that's straight up selective humanity. You can't spend years mocking victims and then expect love when your side takes a loss. Folks online are saying it loud. You can't preach hate and then cry for hugs. Now celebrities are stepping into the mix, and they're not holding back. 50 Cent, Amanda Seales, and Dr. Umar Johnson all threw their voices in, and things blew up fast. 50 came in swinging first, dropping a post so cold it had the internet in flames within minutes. He later deleted it, but screenshots live forever. Then Charlie's hardcore followers lost their minds, turning on 50 like he was the villain, even though they stayed silent when innocent people got hurt in the Colorado school shooting just hours later. The hypocrisy was unbelievable. Amanda Seales jumped in next, and she didn't sugarcoat a thing.
Right now, if you had them prepare themselves in whatever way they would have to prepare themselves to come to battle, and I bet what I have, everything I have, that meatloaf.
She said she has zero empathy for Charlie, period. Her words hit like a slap, and social media exploded with both support and outrage. Then came Dr. Umar trying to pour water on the fire. He told the community not to celebrate anyone's passing, saying it distracts from the real struggle. But instead of calming folks down, his message only stirred up more drama. Now people are arguing, is this about clout, or is it about calling out a deeper truth in America? But let's keep it real. The moment the internet really caught fire was when 50 Cent decided to kick that door wide open. He didn't post a soft rest in peace or thoughts and prayers message. Nah, he went full savage. He dropped a screenshot of the exact moment Charlie was shot and captioned it, "Want to know how I feel about this? I don't know, but I do know it's a good time to shut the F up." The internet erupted. People lost it instantly. Charlie Kirk's fans flooded his comments, calling him heartless and disgusting, accusing him of celebrating someone's death. Some even crossed the line, sending him threats like, "Hope you're next." Things got ugly quick. Within hours, 50 quietly deleted the post. No apology, no statement, just gone. But you know the internet, once it's out there, it's forever. Still, a lot of people had 50's back. They reminded everyone that Charlie wasn't some innocent angel.
Are there any good white people in the world?
There may be, but it doesn't matter. And you know why? No matter how good an individual white person may be, they have an obligation to look out for the best interests of the white race.
People were like, why should we mourn a man who mocked Breonna Taylor and George Floyd and called racism fake? Another viral comment read, "I'm not feeling sympathy for someone who'd call me every slur in the book. Sorry, bookie." And one user said it best, "Y'all cry for a man who mocked the dead, but go quiet when parents bury their kids after school shootings." Make it make sense. The comment section turned into a war zone. This wasn't just another celebrity post. It was a mirror moment. Folks weren't reacting to just what happened to Charlie Kirk. They were reacting to the years of disrespect, mockery, and pain his words caused. And right when the internet thought it couldn't get any hotter, another heavyweight stepped up. Comedian and truth teller DL Hughley, who came in swinging with pure facts and fire. DL reposted a TikTok video exposing one of Charlie's most shocking takes, and it wasn't taken out of context. The clip showed Charlie saying that a few shooting victims here and there were a price worth paying to protect gun rights. Yes, he really said that when on camera. People were speechless, but DL wasn't shocked. He was furious. He used that clip to remind everyone exactly who Charlie Kirk was and why the sympathy wasn't coming easy. Then DL went after the big names. He posted a video of Speaker of the House Mike Johnson asking Congress to pray for Charlie Kirk and his family. And DL let him have it. His caption read, "Did Mike Johnson ever do this for victims of school shootings?"
And for the first time, there was a new school of thought that was chemically induced that made people question the very society they lived in. By 1960, the President of the United States was only 42 years old. Can you imagine? DMX is older than that. And he was going to usher in a new era of peace. He was going to avoid the Cold War. He was going to end segregation. And they blew his brains out in front of everyone in Dallas. This country was never the same.
Did he do it for Congresswoman Hortman and her husband Mark when they were unalive? He said the hypocrisy was out of control, and honestly, he wasn't wrong. But then came the move that broke the internet. When news hit that Trump ordered U.S. flags to fly at half-mast for Charlie Kirk, DL lost it completely. He reminded everyone that Trump never lowered flags for the children who died in school shootings. But he did it for Kirk? Is it tragic? DL said, yes. But does it deserve that kind of honor? You already know the answer. His voice dripped with disbelief and exhaustion. And the comment section exploded again. He wasn't done though. DL drove the knife deeper, calling out the ultimate irony. Charlie Kirk and his crew spent years mocking compassion, saying empathy was weakness, calling it made-up nonsense. But now those same voices were demanding compassion for themselves. The irony was brutal, and DL made sure nobody missed it. Then came his knockout blow, a compilation video titled Hate and Bigotry, Charlie Kirk's Real Legacy. It was pure fire. The footage showed Kirk denying George Floyd's murder, saying Floyd wasn't killed by a cop, and even defending Derek Chauvin.
Men, women, and children were killed in violent lynch mobs.
That's your explanation, but I just...
Racial terror permeated American culture for hundreds of years.
Black America is worse than it has been.
That affected...
The internet was floored. DL didn't need extra words. The clips told the whole story. And then DL dropped the biggest bomb of all, hinting that maybe Charlie's own people turned on him. In the caption, he wrote, "Remember when someone shot Trump? Everyone screamed, radical left this, liberal extremist that, and it turned out to be one of his own." Then he hit with that old school truth. When you point a finger at someone, there are 3 fingers pointing right back at you. That line went viral instantly. Comment sections lit up like fireworks, people arguing, speculating, connecting dots. So now the internet's on fire, divided between those who think DL and 50 went too far, and those who say finally someone said what needed to be said. Whatever side you're on, one thing's clear. This story just cracked open something deep about who America chooses to feel for and who it doesn't. Let's get one thing straight. DL Hughley wasn't celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, not even close. He was calling out the double standards in how America reacts to tragedy, especially when race or politics come into play. But of course, the backlash came fast. Charlie's supporters went off accusing DL of twisting the tragedy and making excuses for the shooter. They claimed he was dividing people, when really he was just holding up a mirror to the division that already existed. The irony was wild, but DL wasn't standing alone.
I can't have empathy for someone like Charlie Kirk. First of all, Charlie Kirk don't believe in empathy. He said it's a bad thing. He said it's some new age made up shit. He also said people gotta be sacrificed in order to protect guns. If he was saying that while fighting for reparations, I may have a little bit of empathy.
Thousands of people had his back. One top comment said, "They're trying to start a race war but can't handle that black folks just aren't playing the game." Another went viral saying, "They only call it hate when the mirror points back at them." The internet was lit, emotions running high, and everybody had something to say. Still, DL wasn't the only one catching smoke. Amanda Seales was next up in the fire. During a raw Instagram live, she made it real clear she wasn't faking empathy for a man like Charlie Kirk. When people in her chat told her to show compassion, she clapped back fast, reminding everyone that Charlie himself mocked empathy. Amanda wasn't trying to play nice, she was speaking truth, and that shook the internet. She didn't back down 1 inch. After her words went viral, the internet split right in half. One side calling her cold and heartless, the other saying she was the only one brave enough to keep it real. Amanda's tone was sharp and serious, no jokes, no fluff. "Y'all keep talking about empathy," she said, but that man spent his whole career mocking it. He said compassion was fake. So why should I start pretending now?
But this white on white violence, he died? Damn, B. Life comes at you fast. I can't have empathy for someone like Charlie Kirk because I cannot be in his shoes. I have no frame of reference for that. I have no cognizance for that. There literally is nothing about his existence that I can relate to.
The silence after that hit harder than any punchline ever could. Within hours, blogs were all over it. Amanda Seales has zero sympathy for Charlie Kirk, and comedian faces backlash after refusing to mourn. But Amanda wasn't flinching. She doubled down, posting, "I'm not celebrating death, I'm calling out hypocrisy. There's a difference." And she was right. Her point wasn't about cheering tragedy. It was about calling out how people pick and choose who deserves empathy. She pointed out how quick lawmakers were to honor Charlie Kirk, lowering flags, issuing statements, holding vigils, yet those same people stayed silent when unarmed kids were lost to school shootings or when whole communities cried out for justice. They only cry when the tragedy fits their agenda, she said. And that quote exploded across social media. Hashtags like hashtag Amanda said it and hashtag empathy isn't selective were trending everywhere. Then the conservative influencers pounced. They accused her of promoting hate and justifying violence. One right-wing pundit even said she should be investigated for inciting unrest, which was wild, considering she was just speaking facts. That's the game, though. Twist the truth until honesty sounds like offense. Amanda wasn't having it. She fired back on another live. Y'all want to talk about inciting unrest? Where was that energy when he called protesters thugs for demanding equality, or when he said kids should stay home to avoid woke teachers? Her voice was sharp, her eyes fierce. She wasn't ranting, she was educating.
I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year, so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational.
You can't ignore suffering for years, she said, then act surprised when the empathy well runs dry. You could feel the passion through the screen, but Amanda's words sparked something way bigger. A nationwide debate about morality, accountability, and what empathy really means. Because underneath the drama was a question no one wanted to touch. When someone builds their name on division, do they still deserve grace when tragedy hits? Is empathy unconditional, or does accountability finally get its turn? That question hit America right in the conscience. Even D.L. Hewley jumped in again. He reposted Amanda's clip with the caption, "Exactly. Compassion isn't a get-out-of-truth card." Later on his podcast, he said, "We keep acting like we owe grace to people who never gave it. That's not how healing works." His words echoed through timelines everywhere. People were finally saying what they'd been holding in for years. Twitter, Instagram, and Reddit all blew up. Some users said death should humble everyone, insisting forgiveness was the right path, but others weren't having that. One viral post said, "You can't spit on people's pain for a decade and then ask them to cry for you. Life doesn't work like that." Over 100,000 likes, and that's how deep this conversation hit. Even mainstream media jumped in. Shows like The View and MSNBC dedicated whole segments to Amanda's comments. Some hosts praised her honesty, saying she dared to call out America's selective morality. Others scolded her for being too harsh during a time of national mourning. But Amanda shut that all down with one simple Instagram story. "Compassion without truth is just performance." That line became the quote of the week. Celebs started quietly backing her up too. Some liked her posts without commenting, others dropped subtle emojis or cryptic tweets like "truth ain't hate." Behind the scenes, her words were echoing through Hollywood. Publicists told clients to stay neutral, while producers whispered that Amanda had gone too far. But Amanda wasn't backing off. If anything, she was doubling down. She went live again, raw and unfiltered, sitting in her kitchen with no makeup, saying, "I'm not losing sleep over being called cold. I'm losing sleep because people refuse to see their own double standards." She paused, then dropped a line that sent chills through the internet. They want empathy to be universal, but accountability to be optional. That's not peace, that's privilege. The video hit millions of views overnight. And while all that chaos unfolded, something even deeper started brewing. Online forums began piecing together Amanda's and DL's words, and the whispers got louder. Some insiders claimed Charlie's own circle had been falling apart weeks before his death. They talked about money problems, fights over donors, and strange gaps in the organization's funds. Suddenly, the internet wasn't just talking about reaction, it was talking about motives. People started saying maybe DL was right all along. Maybe Charlie's enemies weren't outside his camp, but inside. And Amanda's refusal to fake sympathy made that theory sound even stronger. Because this wasn't about celebrating loss, it was about refusing to look away from the truth. By the weekend, Amanda Seales had gone from comedian under fire to the center of a national conversation. She wasn't trying to be a hero, she was just speaking raw truth. Whether people loved her or hated her, they couldn't stop talking about her. Talk shows, podcasts, and social media all ask the same question: is empathy unconditional or does truth have limits? And here's the twist. The more people tried to silence Amanda, the louder her message spread. Screenshots, sound bites, and TikToks of her quotes flooded every feed. Amanda said what needed to be said, became a viral slogan, memes, edits, remixes. Her message turned into a movement. Even celebrities who'd stayed quiet on Charlie's death started speaking out, carefully echoing her sentiment. Some said, "We can mourn tragedy without erasing truth." Others stayed vague but meaningful. Broken heart emojis, candle posts, or captions like "the irony burns." By now, this wasn't just a celebrity feud, it was a cultural mirror, a reflection of race, privilege, power, and America's habit of selective empathy. Because when Amanda Seales looked dead into that camera and said, "Empathy is not a costume you wear when it suits you," she wasn't just calling out Charlie Kirk, she was calling out a whole nation. And that's what made this moment explosive. The story stopped being about one man's end. It became about what happens when the truth finally fights its way to the surface. Amanda didn't just light a match, she exposed the smoke that was already there. And whether people liked it or not, she forced America to look in the mirror and ask itself one hard question: when hate becomes a legacy, how much empathy is too much? Amanda Seales didn't sugarcoat anything when she broke down why she couldn't feel empathy for Charlie Kirk, and her explanation hit like a thunderclap across the internet. She said straight up, "I can't have empathy for someone like Charlie because I cannot be in his shoes. There's nothing about his existence I can relate to." That one line, just 20 words, lit up every platform like wildfire. Within minutes, Charlie's diehard fans came swarming. They flooded her mentions across X, Instagram, and TikTok, hurling insults like it was sport, calling her heartless, trash, sociopath, and worse. Even some black men jumped in, dragging her for disrespecting the dead, using language so nasty that people were genuinely shocked. The same folks who always preach free speech suddenly wanted to silence a black woman for speaking her truth. The hypocrisy was loud, but the hate didn't stop there. White conservatives took it even further. Some started saying she should be denaturalized and deported, ranting about so-called black fatigue. It was disgusting. You could see their rage wasn't about empathy, it was about control. They couldn't handle that Amanda refused to play their emotional game. She didn't cry when they demanded tears, and that shook them to the core. Still, for every hater throwing venom, there were twice as many voices defending her. Amanda's supporters flooded her comments with love and receipts, real receipts. They pulled up Charlie's old interviews, his tweets, and speeches packed with racial undertones and anti-black rhetoric. They reminded everyone that Amanda wasn't celebrating a death, she was rejecting hypocrisy. One viral comment nailed it. Nowhere did she celebrate his death. Nowhere did she preach hate, she just said she doesn't have empathy, and she has every right not to. Another fan clapped back with Charlie's own words, quoting him saying empathy was a new age danger. They asked, "Why are y'all demanding the one thing he mocked?" That irony hit so hard, even his supporters couldn't spin it. People started posting side-by-side clips of Charlie's speeches next to Amanda's. The message was crystal clear. She was living the truth he spent his life ridiculing. The more hate she got, the more her defenders rallied. "Is it sad he was killed?" "Sure," one user said. "But does everyone have to care?" "No." He spread lies, fueled division, and mocked real suffering. Just because he's gone doesn't mean we rewrite history. Another post that went viral read, "I'm not celebrating his death, but I'm not mourning it either." That's not hate, that's honesty. Those words hit millions who felt exactly the same way but were too scared to say it. Then came the post that flipped the entire conversation. A viral comment comparing Amanda to Malcolm X. It said, "She's too real. Now I get why the media is against her. They didn't love Malcolm X until decades later." Amanda Seales speaks truth even when it's unpopular. Salute to this woman. She's braver than your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. That single comment blew up, spreading across the globe. People started realizing Amanda wasn't alone. She was part of a much bigger energy shift happening right before our eyes. But while Amanda was standing tall, another major voice decided to step into the storm. Dr. Umar Johnson. And everyone thought he was about to back Amanda up, right? Wrong! Umar took a completely different route, and his response shocked the internet. He went live for almost an hour. Not ranting, but preaching. It was less of a drag and more of a sermon. He told his followers that mocking death, even the death of someone who opposed you, was dangerous energy. We must never become the thing we despise. He said, "Mocking death, even of those who worked against us, lowers our vibration and dishonors our ancestors." That line stopped people in their tracks. Coming from Umar, the man known for calling out everyone, it was unexpected. Some fans agreed, saying he was showing maturity and trying to keep the community grounded, but others weren't buying it. They accused him of trying to sound respectable instead of standing on truth with Amanda. The internet was split again. One side said he was right, that dignity matters more than revenge. The other said, nah, this is moralizing while the real conversation gets lost. The tension was thick, but Umar wasn't done. Later that night, he posted a long message on Instagram that blew up across social media. It read, "While I did not agree with Mr. Kirk's rhetoric and considered him to be an anti-black bigot, I will never rejoice at the loss of life of anyone who hasn't directly participated in the unaliving of a member of the Black African race. I am ashamed to see members of my community celebrating the situation." The internet froze for a second, then chaos exploded. Umar doubled down in the next paragraph. "I will never ask you to mourn the loss of an enemy of our race, but to celebrate an unaliving is completely unacceptable. We know all too well that the greatest recipients of political assassinations in this country have been our own people. Stop laughing at the misfortunes of others and get prepared. Political assassinations have returned to the United States of America, courtesy of the deep state." That message hit like a lightning strike. Umar was hinting that what happened to Charlie Kirk wasn't random. It was a sign of something much darker. He was basically saying, y'all are laughing, but the same system could come for us next. But his own followers weren't having it. The backlash came immediately, and it was fierce. One commenter fired back, "Would you be saying this if they shot you? Just a thought." Another wrote, "Nobody's celebrating, we're just not mourning." There's a difference. And one fan straight up lost it, writing, 50 lashes for you, Dr. Umar. You think anyone outside our community would say this if it were you? Stop giving your energy to vampires. That last comment blew up, racking thousands of likes and turning Umar's page into a battlefield. People started accusing him of preaching from the sidelines while Amanda was out here taking real hits. They said he was trying to sound like a diplomat when he should have been calling out the hypocrisy directly, but others defended him, saying he was protecting the culture's spirit and reminding everyone that revenge energy is a trap. No matter which side people were on, one thing was clear. The tension was electric. And here's the chilling part. Umar might have been right about something bigger, because while everyone was busy arguing, whispers started floating online that maybe Charlie's assassination wasn't just political, it was strategic. That maybe his death wasn't about hate at all, but distraction. And that's when people started realizing the real setup. The outrage was the weapon. Think about it. Every post, every podcast, every debate only seemed to push people further apart. Celebrities were feuding, politicians were posturing, and the internet was tearing itself in half, exactly like someone wanted. It's almost like the chaos itself was the plan. So maybe that's the real story nobody wants to face. Maybe 50 Cent's post, Amanda's defiance, and Umar's sermon were all pieces of a bigger game. Because while the world screams about who's right or wrong, the puppet masters sit back watching the show. Now the question is, are we seeing truth? Or are we trapped in a play designed to keep us fighting? Has America lost its grip on empathy completely? Or are we finally exposing how fake it's always been? One thing's for sure, the noise is loud, the divide is deep, and somebody out there is loving every second of it. Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs to see through the smoke. Because this story, trust me, it's far from over.